Welcome to the course on object-oriented programming. Today we will be looking at exception handling in Java programming. In order to look into the exception handling in Java programming, let's look at what is a exception. Basically, in earlier programming languages which we have studied like a C and C++, if there is a certain exceptional activity happens with a code we have written, so that programming languages do not have a capability or the compiler do not have a capability to understand and underline what is the exceptional thing happening with your code. Basically, Java provides or Java wisely provides what exceptional kind of the thing happens with your code. Basically, most of the times you might be came across with the scene that the lines of code we wrote and that code is completely fine, no problem at all, no errors, no warnings, though that code is not working, and we are simply unable to understand what is happening with that particular code. Basically, Java will make you understand what is happening there, what kind of the exceptional things that are happening with your code. Okay, and basically Java is going to understand, and that's by using the exception handling mechanism. Basically, the exception handling in Java programming is with different ways. One of the way is by using a try and catch block, another way is by throwing the exception, one more way is by using the finally keyword, and many more. There are many ways to understand that exception. So, we will look at what that exception is. First of all, what's fundamentals of exception handling? Java exception is an object that describes an exceptional condition that has occurred in a piece of code. When an exception condition arrives, an object representing that exception is created and thrown in the method that caused the error. Basically, this is not exactly what the errors occurs in our program. These are the exceptionally different kinds of the errors which we can manage. The exception can be generated by Java runtime system, or they can be manually by your code. Means exception can happen in two different ways. Java runtime system, that is what a JRE, that runtime system can generate the exception, or that exception can be generated manually by your code. Means you can write our own exception as well. The exceptions thrown by the Java relates to the fundamental errors that violates the rules of Java programming. For example, at some point if you are making a mistake like divide by zero error, basically this kind of the issues are reported by Java runtime system. Means this is the fundamental error that violates the rule or the constraints of Java execution environment. Java exception handling is managed through 5 keywords. Basically, there are 5 keywords with which the exceptions are handled. The first one is a try, second one is a catch, third one is a throw, fourth one is throws, and last one is a finally. These are the 5 keywords with which the exceptions in Java programming are handled. So, the exception occurs within the try block. It is thrown, your code can catch this exception and handle it in the rational manner. System generated exceptions are automatically thrown by the Java runtime system. Manually, basically use of try and catch block is to understand the system generated exceptions or the exceptions handled by the system, Java runtime system. As earlier I told, there are some kind of the exceptions that can be handled explicitly by your code, that is manually throws an exception that uses a keyword throw. Any exception that can be thrown out of the method must specifies by a throw clause, and any code is absolutely must be executed before a method returns is put into the final block, means a finally keyword. So let's look at the example. We'll be beginning with try catch, and then we'll look at the different one. So in this one, this is a class mathematics in which the subroutine is defined where d is equal to d is equal to 0 and integer a is equal to 10 by d. Basically this is going to produce a exception, and that exception means to compile this program we don't have any error, but during the execution it produces that error. So how and what kind of the error this produces is listed into the section below. This code produces the following output, and that output is exception in the thread main java.lang.arithmetic expression divide by 0 error. Divided by 0 error at mathematics subroutine and so on so forth. Basically we want to remove this error, divided by 0. Basically we have not used any try catch block in this example. This is the second example where we used a try catch block. So in this try catch block we are catching the arithmetic expression. Basically arithmetic exception is a class whose object is created, and we are writing our own naming convention to that error, and that's system.out.println division by 0 error. Earlier we are catching what is generated by the system. Now we are going to generate ourselves. So output produced by this program is a division by 0 error. Basically that's an exception which we caught. Now similar to the try and catch, basically try and catch the fundamental exceptions handled by our system. Now throws are not throws, but throw is one more way to handle the exceptions. Basically you can catch the exceptions thrown by the Java runtime system. However, it is possible for your program to throw an exception explicitly using a throw statement. We'll look at the example of this. So this is my first example by using a throw. This is a throw demo class. Again, it's a user defined class in which I have defined a subroutine. I have defined a method called as subroutine in which try and catch block is used, and here it's throwing the exception E, throw the exception E. And let's look at what's the output it has generated. This program produces the following output: caught inside the subroutine and recaught into the null pointer exception demo. Means basically here we have thrown the null pointer exception, that is throw new null pointer exception, and means 2 times it has caught. The first time inside the subroutine and second time that is inside the main method. Means 2 times it is handled. Means you can throw the exceptions, and what that null pointer exception we have thrown, So let's say we are given a name to that exception as the demo. So that's displayed over here, right? Now the second keyword, no, not a second keyword, but the next keyword means after the try, catch, throw, the fourth keyword is throws. Basically, throws, if the method is capable of causing the exception. Let's look at what I am saying exactly. If the method is capable of causing the exception and that is unable to handle it, it must specify this behavior so that the caller of the method can guard themselves against that exception. You can do this by including throws clause in the method declaration. A throws clause lists the types of exceptions that the method might throw, and this is necessary for all the exceptions except those of type errors or runtime exceptions. Now, we will look at examples of these throws. This is my next class whose name is throws demo. In this there is a method called as subroutine, and this method itself throws a null pointer exception. This method throws a null pointer exception, and same method we invoked into the main method, and this method throws an exception, that is throws the exception that is called as null pointer exception. Now, the try and catch block throws, throw and throws. So these are the few ways of handling the exceptions implicitly or explicitly that we have seen. In the next session, we will be looking at the exception handled through a final keyword. Let's stop here, and I will be starting with that finally next. Thanks.